So I don't know the others, but I think Michael is saying that we should start. Do you understand the same?
Yes. Peter, shall we start? I don't hear.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, I hear. Yes, you can start. Yes.
Okay. So good afternoon for all the people who are in Europe, of course. I would like to very briefly tell you a few words about the IR activities, and of course the people, the presidents or vice presidents of commissions who are present here can also complete what I will say. And I would like to focus perhaps your attention on the conference issues, and especially the next conference after this one online in Slovakia. Regarding our activities since last year, well, first we published documents, and this year in 2021 we will publish several informatory notes, especially on heat pumps, and thanks to the work of our experts in heat pumps. So I will not, of course, I am at your disposal to be more precise regarding that, but we clearly follow the recommendations of our committees, the fact that we need to address our issues to decision makers, and normally informatory notes are a good way to do it. We also have, we don't publish a lot of books. We are still working on the book on cold storage for developing countries, but I hope that we will be able to finalize it. But our efforts regarding publications are dedicated to the informatory notes and also the work with our website, because we renewed our website last year. And of course, I encourage you to check if you have any comments and recommendations. I'm at your disposal to do it. And of course, we will try ourselves to improve it. We are, the various projects we had, we were involved in various European projects, research and development projects. They are ended, or they will end in 2021. The latest one will be Cryo-Hub on energy storage, which will end this year. But we are a partner in various draft projects, European project, but also international projects with the World Bank and with the UNEP, and also with some national projects, for instance, with Norway. I hope that they will be successful, of course, because it is important for us to be part of these projects, essentially the dissemination of the results of the project, but also sometimes partly in the definition of the work and the basis of the work. I mean, bibliography, data, and so on, in order to start the work. So, and of course, if you have yourself, if you are building some project, national, European, international, we would be very pleased to participate in these projects. It is a question of importance of our actions, as well, of course, as the money to do it. A part of that, of course, we continue our work in working groups, and this morning you had a presentation by Alex Korpashai about the working group on safety. I would like to mention that for that group, and of course it will be possible for other groups in the future, other working groups, we had to build some rules regarding confidentiality, because we had when you declare some accidents, you sometimes have to give some information which are protected. So it is important to have some rules regarding that, and we did it last year for the working group on safety. Of course, it could be the same in other groups if there is any request from one participant. Finally, regarding conferences, and of course, I'm at your disposal to answer your question, and of course, also the people involved in the commissions can, and especially the presidents can complete my what I told you. We had, of course, a year 2020, which was very different than the previous ones, since it was impossible to organize IR conferences totally on site. We had to postpone a lot of conferences, and some conferences, a lot of conferences will take place this year. Some of them are already, which would be organized this year, are postponed because it was impossible to also maintain the same conferences, too many conferences this year in 2021. But we also tried to organize some online conferences. We organized a conference in Glasgow, the Rankin Conference, in July. We organized a conference, Gustav Laurensen Conference, in December. And we also have the experience of a conference which was partly on-site, partly online, in Nantes in France, on the cold chain. Practically speaking, in that case, we had, of course, the majority of the people who were online, but French people and some Italian people were on site. So it was possible to have some entertainments as we are used to do, for instance, in Slovakia normally. We certainly will have this year to continue some online conferences, but as much as possible, we would like to have conferences which are both on-site and online. We will see if we will need some decisions regarding the way we organize online conferences. For instance, very practical issues. I mean, this conference here is free of charge for the participants. Other conferences, we maintain the fees. Other, we reduce the fees. So things like that must be discussed. And we will certainly have some discussions and perhaps afterwards some recommendations to the organizers of the conferences. In any case, we will have to avoid overlaps between conferences. And I would like to tell you a few things regarding the future of this conference. And of course, I'm at your disposal to discuss it because we will have to take a decision. First, as you know, we have congresses every 4 years. And our rule is to avoid conferences, IR conferences or IR co-sponsored conferences, less than 4 months before the Congress and less than 2 months after the Congress. Mm-hmm. The latest Congress was in Canada, in Montreal, in August 2019. The next one will be in Paris in August 2023, and in 2027, we will see. There will be a competition between two proposals. We will have a decision this year. A part of that, well, we have thematic conferences. We have series of conferences on various subjects, especially compressors and coolants, like this one. Concerning these conferences, we have 4 kinds of conferences which are important for us. We have this conference in Slovakia. We have the conference, some co-sponsored conferences in addition. We have the Purdue conferences in the USA every 2 years normally. The London Compressors conferences every 2 years too. And we also have a Chinese one in Xi'an every 2 years too. So we have 4 kinds of conferences which can compete each other. And we would like to avoid it. Currently, we have of course, because there were some decision to postpone conferences, the next one. For the Chinese one, I don't have the information today, but normally the next one should be in 2021, then 2023, during the summer. But I don't have the confirmation regarding the Chinese ones. Regarding the London conference, which is a relatively important conference, we normally co-sponsor these conferences except when they don't respect our rules regarding the congresses. The next one should be in September this year, and then the September 2023, September 2025. 2023, we will not co-sponsor the conference, but even if we don't co-sponsor the conference, there will be some people there, so we have to take it into account. The Purdue conferences, the next one will be next end of May 2021, this year. And then normally the next one will be in July 2022 and then July 2024. We will continue again the rhythm which was July every 2 years, every pair years. For the Slovakian conference, we have to find a way to, well, at least not have two conferences competing with this one. I mean, in any case, we will have one of them which can partially compete. My opinion is that we should avoid the case of we had, I think it was 2 years ago, we had both the London conference and the Slovakian conference very near each other in September. And we hope that perhaps they could be complementary. I'm not convinced. So I think we should avoid it because also, of course, they are both also in Europe. So we have first to take it to account. Secondly, what kind of conference? On-site, online, both on-site and online. I hope that the story of the COVID-19 will be ended next year. Of course, I'm not sure. So I would prefer to have a conference on-site, but perhaps on-site plus online. I mean, it could be perhaps a future rule to try to, in any case, have materials to have people online and not only on-site. So my personal opinion would be to have a conference both on-site and online. I think it would be useful to have the possibility to network, the possibility to meet people, and not only to hear some presentations. The results of the experiences we had last year is that we don't have more people when we put a conference online. We could consider that because it is online, it is easier for people to attend. It is not the case. We didn't see any increase and sometimes a decrease of the people attending the conference. Moreover, I have the impression, according to the statistics we have, that you have a lot of people who attend only a small part of the conference because it is easier to participate to only one part of the conference. When you are on site, you are more or less obliged. Of course, you can also go outside to visit the country. But generally speaking, people are more obliged to attend all the conference. They don't have other tasks at the same time. And when you have other tasks at the same time, wow, it is difficult sometimes to resist to these other tasks. So I think the atmosphere is different. Well, it is my opinion, but I am at your disposal to discuss it. So perhaps Peter, if you have any comment regarding that. Of course, if you have the presidents of the commissions who are here, I don't know, Jose or other one, if you have some comments, the floor is yours.
Yes, I think you hear me. I think your description was very detailed, so I would like only to to say that we see two possibilities. One is to repeat the online conference in 2 years in January, because there is no conflict with other conferences. Maybe it can be combined with the present form or something like that, or to shift the conference to the year 2024. And it seems that in the year 2024, there will be no conflict with the London conference. Purdue is quite on the other side of the globe. So I think it is a good date, 2024. Maybe this year will be also Chilventa, but the Chilventa is we have this conference mostly in September, so Chilventa is in October. So it is, I think it is the difference is quite a long time. So from my side, I see these two possibilities. Maybe Darius can express here view.
We don't have the microphone.
Yeah. So, concerning the conference, I remember that every edition of this conference, we have the same discussion concerning competing between the conferences. But I guess that we should also take into account the issue, what is the reason to organize such conference like this one? And for me, I see that we have, maybe it is not so clearly seen in many countries, but I see what is the problem for that part of Europe. It is lack of the good contacts, collaboration between countries like Poland and maybe other countries and colleagues from Ukraine or other Eastern countries. And formerly, it was a very big research institution, which was located in Odessa. Just now, there are a few research centers, and I have personal contacts with a lot of people, and look that some of the research groups, in spite of the fact that we have very difficult times and conference is organized online, so that maybe half of the possible attendance was cut off during such situation, that still decided to attend this conference. Still, we have a lack of, contacts between people from Russia, from Kazakhstan, from Belarus, from some northern Baltic countries. And recently, we have also tried to organize joint some activities. But I see a great potential for, I have seen the potential just because people who have corresponded with us and they just expressed the interest in collaboration, in mutual contacts. But I see there is a gap in communication between this research center and IIR. Maybe organization of this conference, but maybe with a little more generalized topics. Maybe the scope of this conference could be maybe not only focused on compressors, but maybe also, so maybe direction compressors and refrigerants, it is good direction, but I see a clear need for such activities of the IRR in that part of Europe. So that it is my belief that also the group of the research of the research groups from all of the Eastern countries, it is much more easier to participate at the IIR conference if there is smaller distance, and also conditions of participation will be less expensive and less complicated for these groups. So I see a certain potential, right? And I see also that we can observe also the positive effect of this conference, because just due to this conference, I have a possibility to start collaboration with people from Ukraine and from China, just because we have also prepared to projects so these are the propositions only, but we have started real collaboration with joint papers, etc., etc. So there are good results of such conference. So I see maybe that we should look not only on the conference competition, but a clear need for such activity of the IRR in this part of Europe. Maybe just direction, maybe not only compressor, because it is really, we have at least 4 conferences. We are also participating at Purdue conference, and we are not treated it as a competitive conference indeed, but I see that maybe more general scope will be much more attractive for most of the people and could bring more attendance for this conference, right? So it is my suggestion. Concerning the dates, of course, yeah, so proposition of Peter is very good. Of course, we will prefer also maybe the last issue which I'd like to raise. What is the special feature of this conference is the technical tours and possibility also to have to meet also people from industry. And in some of the conferences, they are much more focused on research, and most of them are concerning the attendance of these conferences are the people from the academies, universities. But the unique feature of this conference is the possibility to discuss with the people from industry also. So we have also some pretty good contacts between industries also as a product of this conference. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I would just like to add something regarding that. We are used, of course, to organize conferences, IR conferences in Eastern Europe, and I would be pleased to continue to do that. We also have a series of conferences always in this part of Europe on cryogenics. And we have regularly conferences in Prague and Dresden, and we also have some conferences we co-sponsor in Romania. We also have some projects of IR co-sponsored conferences in Russia, in Moscow and St. Petersburg, on perhaps the food cold chain in St. Petersburg, for instance. So we have also other subjects. And we also will have, it is sure, IR co-organized conference on liquefied natural gas in St. Petersburg in 2023. So, of course, we are pleased to organize other conferences in that part of the world, and we have several IR member countries, so it is perfectly possible. The question is, if we enlarge the scope, which kind of additional scope we could have, take into account that we have also other series of conferences.
So maybe just one word also, just because I'm fully aware that there are some conferences, but note that these conferences, especially cryogenics, because it is really very good conference, but the scope of this conference is really very, oriented on the very specific subject. So it is, the number of attendance is very limited because of that. Also food chain, right? So maybe concerning the scope of the conference, maybe it will be compressors and maybe heat transfer equipment, something like that. Or maybe if you can just look at the scope of the topics of the papers for this particular conference, they are oriented in sustainable refrigeration and especially ejectors, maybe heat-driven systems, because a great number of papers are related to heat-driven systems. Right, so maybe refrigerant, maybe compressors and heat-driven systems, something like that, could be maybe one of the possible ways to improve the efficiency of such conference.
Okay, other comments?
Well, maybe I could just comment. Well, I'm new on both as president of the commission, but I also, this is the first time I attend this conference. So just take my opinion as, initial opinion. What I see is that it is a small conference, and I understand your comments about the consistency, let's say, of the subject of the conference. I must say that I was in troubles because I've cooperated in the review of papers, and it is a problem because if the topics are compressors, some of the papers have nothing to do with compressors. So and of course this is also discouraging people who work in other fields to present something. So I think really the subject is something important that you should decide. And if as Darius is saying, the important thing is to have, a more regional, let's say, refrigeration conference there. Why not call it? I don't know the name. You will have to decide the name, but yes, I think it's a good idea to open the scope, and so call it refrigeration technology or whatever you want. But I would say if you try to be specific, then you will only attract papers on that specific area. So I would do it broader. Compressors, for instance, you have this conference at London, which is well attended, and you have the Purdue conference, which is very old and which attract most of the industry there from all over the world. So it's difficult to compete, I would say, in that field. But I don't know. So I think it's you who have to. I understand the problem, and I think is you want to keep the conference, and I think it's worth it. But you should come with let's say with a different scope or subject. I would say, and negotiate it with IIR, of course, because it is an IIR conference.
Thank you, Jose. Other opinions?
Yes, in the past, we have considered compressors and refrigeration technologies and so on. And finally, we have decided to have compressors and refrigerants. And under this topic, we cover also refrigerant technologies. That's why, as Jose said, there were papers which were not directly aimed to compressors, but they were aimed to technologies, heat transfer, and so on. So it is difficult to short title to cover all what we want. So this conference is known as conference about compressors firstly, then we edit refrigerants. So it is difficult to think that we edit something more. So because then the title will be too long. So we can maybe exchange refrigerants and to put the refrigeration technologies, maybe. So, but not all compressors, refrigerant, and refrigerant technologies. So, but maybe we can exchange refrigerants and to use refrigeration technologies.
We are treating also the ejectors as a kind of compression devices during this conference, and maybe this is also so. Previously, we have we tried to prepare also the biggest sessions concerning ejector systems, and also with also our colleagues from US. Just because this conference, maybe it is. The only one just now which treats which covers the issues concerning ejection systems, heat-driven system, also as a part of the very special but compression machines. So that because of a large number of people are doing the research with ejector systems. So maybe it is also another point of view that the name compressors is still attractive for these people.
Yes, we have these questions regarding safety. Effectively, safety is not a subject which is officially covered in titles, but of course we have safety in various presentations. The safety issue is clearly a main issue, and we have it in a lot of presentations, in a lot of other IR conferences too. But perhaps we could specialize, have sessions totally dedicated to that. Do you have any opinion regarding this safety issue?
Yes, on me there is a second question. I can say that safety we consider as very important, and you can see that we have included safety into the plenary part as a very important topic. So I think we have considered it already, and it will be considered also later. But I think it is difficult to introduce safety into the title of the compressor, maybe to the description. Heating, there can be also heating-driven systems, refrigeration technologies, and also as a second title or something like that.
Oh, we can have subtitles. I mean, in any case, when you present a conference, you can have subtitles. But of course, the main title is the title that everybody reminds. So there is a difference between the fact that you have, for instance, compressors and coolants, and you have afterwards various subtitles. People generally remind essentially the first title. But well, we can perhaps put it more visible, more visible. Yeah.
Okay, it means that we will introduce not only the title, but also subtitles for the conference, and maybe it will be more attractive for different research workers or scientists.
I think you have to describe it in the topics of the conference, trying to enlarge the topics of the conference without losing, let's say, the general concept of the conference, which is not difficult. But I think in the topics you can mention a lot of things, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes,
and in regard to the date, of course, I also think that in your own interest you avoid the overlap. You are trying always to do that, to avoid the overlap with other conferences in the interest of everybody, of course.
I have regarding that. I had a correspondence with Eckhard Groll, who is the president of the section and who is also the responsible of the Purdue conferences. He considered that September 2024, which is of course relatively near the Purdue conferences in July 2024, could be good. I mean, in his opinion, because it would not compete with the London conference. It would be different also with probably the Chinese one. It is the Eckhard opinion, but and in that case, it could be an on-site conference, even if we can have some materials to have some people online, if people would like also to be online. In that case, of course, we should consider, for instance, the fees, which could be different online and on-site, but not too low for online people, because inversely, we would like to have as many people as possible on-site. So regarding these issues, in any case, we will discuss it within the Scientific Council this year. We will certainly have a discussion with the management committee meeting in February, and then we have the Scientific Council meeting in June this year. So we can have also discussions regarding that. But if you agree regarding that, we could, at the end of the conference for the closing ceremony today, mentioning the fact that normally, and of course there will be afterwards official announcements, we could organize it in September 2024 if everybody agrees, and with some enlargements of the scope, especially mentioning some more generally refrigerant technologies and heat transfer, and also the safety issue. Do you have other comments also on other issues regarding the IR actions?
You mean regarding this conference or in general?
More generally, because it is
okay.
a meeting, and
Yes.
of course we can discuss other issues, and I will be very pleased to have some opinions regarding our activities. So if you have any questions, any suggestions.
Yes, I have a question that, you know, it came, and we have discussed about this also in other moments. The thing is about informatory notes. So I think we are now quite active on that, and we have already produced several, and some others are on the way. So I think we have a full plan, let's say, for these 4 years. So I think it's good and it is working. But I have a question about the concept. So you mentioned again some minutes ago that the informatory note, you also use it should be, let's say, targeted to the policymakers. But you know, we also I've been discussing with others, and sometimes we see also that the industry need informatory notes from technical point of view. And so this is not clear. I've talked with others, and nobody knows which is the right target. So I would like you to comment on that. So I think both are possible, and both are useful.
You are right, Jose. You must know that each year we have discussions regarding that. I mean, what kind of objective we have regarding that. In my opinion, clearly we have two kinds of informatory notes. We have informatory notes which are very general, with as well economical and as technical data, and which are important for the policy. And for instance, in 2020, we published a document, an informatory note on the refrigeration for the worldwide nutrition. We published 1 year ago another one on the economy, refrigeration economy. A few years ago regarding the impact of refrigeration on climate change. These kinds of informatory notes clearly are for policymakers. And we decided in that case to also promote it in various events, which are not only IR events, for instance, United Nations events. And we decided also to have some summary for policymakers. And I think we should, for certain very important topics, environment, nutrition, for instance, to have relatively general informatory notes, but of course, general informatory notes, but based on science with data which are well calculated, defined, and so on. However, the majority of our informatory notes are relatively technical. And sincerely speaking, if you have a deputy, a director, and a director in the administration, you will not read these informatory notes. In any case, perhaps he would, but in that case, we should also, and it was a decision last year, to also publish, in that case, a summary of 1 page. And I hope that we will be able, with these summaries, only with the summaries, interest some people who have a technical background, but who don't have time to read all the informatory notes. We also try to have not too long informatory notes, but well, that's right. It is difficult to have for certain subjects to have something which is readable, but by a lot of people. So I don't know if the current situation is perfect. Certainly not. we have to improve year after year. Currently, it is clear that first we have some rules regarding the length of the inflammatory notes, and also the fact that we systematically will publish a summary. It is mentioned summary for policymakers, but of course, sometimes the policymakers are relatively technical policymakers, okay? Yeah. And our aim is to have both some relatively technical inflammatory notes, but not too technical. We can have annexes. In some inflammatory notes, which are relatively technical, we have annexes, and annexes can be very, very technical. So, but the inflammatory note itself, not too much. And in addition, some inflammatory notes which are very for general public.
Okay. I think that also, that those technical will improve, the relationship between the IIR and the industry. I think the industry, a lot of times, some people, or not of time, but it has happened to me. Some people from the industry come in talking about a problem, and I had to tell them, well, we already have published an informatory note at the IIR, which is what you are asking for. So I mean, that kind of technical information, I think, is very good for the industry, and it should promote, let's say, the cooperation, the knowledge of the industry that a lot of times, they do not know us, I mean, as an organization.
You are right, Jose, and I would like to have more industry people, industries in our network as corporate members. Mm-hmm. We have some industries which are corporate members, but in my opinion, not enough. And it is a challenge. So of course, if you can help for that, it is important for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Clearly. So we only have 5 minutes, I think. So if you have other comments, other questions.
I am just curious.
Jose, yes, please.
No, I am just curious about the, we did let's say, the comment on the review of the new European Union regulation for the greenhouse gases. And I really like the summary you did. There is any feedback from the Commission about that? So they did like it, or?
Jose, we sent effectively to the Commission a small comment regarding that. Considering that in any case, we should continue the F-gas regulation, that's very clear. And currently in Europe, we respect the F-gas regulation. Of course, there are some problems, but generally speaking, we respect it. But I wanted to emphasize the fact that perhaps it is now more important to focus our action on energy. In any case, because before 2030, we have a goal in 2030, 55% reduction compared to 1990. It is a challenge. And in my opinion, it is a challenge mostly for the energy, more for energy issues than for refrigerant issues. So I would like to avoid something which could be too much, which could involve too many constraints regarding refrigerants, if it could be problematic regarding the energy issue, regarding the energy efficiency. But in any case, there will be some changes to your review this year. I don't know what will be the result. I'm sure that it will not be, we will have at least the same constraints, plus the constraints for after 2030, because in any case, it will be necessary to phase down more than 79%, because the Kigali Amendment is until 85% before 2036. It is very easy to do that, and in any case, we will do that. Of course, there are some non-governmental organizations which would like to have something something more ambitious before 2030. Personally, I'm not convinced it would be a good way, or perhaps stricter, but not too strict, because in that case, in my opinion, there will be a danger regarding the priorities. I presented this morning the figures. clearly the energy issue is more important than the refrigerant issue. In any case, I'm convinced that the refrigerant issue is mostly behind us. I mean, most of the decisions are already made, but we now have to implement decisions. And it is, for me, the main challenge is to correctly implement the decisions. And we need some years to do it.
Okay.
But I will give you information as far as I have. Currently, there is no, I don't have the more information than that.
Okay, thank you.
Other issues? Peter, do you have something I forgot? Or?
No. I think everything was said. We will consider the change of the title of the conference, and maybe, as I have understood, you recommend, or the Commission has recommended 2024 as a present form in September.
Okay. Well, if it is finished.
Sorry, from my side only, I would like to say that during the closing, we will speak about this awarding and about this conference date and about the ceremony of change of president of the conference. So you are invited. It will be at 17 o'clock, and these 4 parallel sessions starts at 15 o'clock.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so bye.